welcome to the fourth episode of our podcast. Let me introduce myself. I am Ania Zhupa. I'm a student in English here in University of Gjurmët. And today we are going to introduce our fourth topic of the podcast, which is about digital footprints and privacy. Here we have Michael and Maria, my English friend. If we are talking about digital footprints, we have to know that we have active digital footprints and passive ones. Active are the ones we intentionally do to leave footmarks in the online web, and the passive ones are the ones we don't want to leave marks on the web. For example, when we are posting, when we are commenting and surfing the net, we leave active footprints.
That is that when we leave the digital footprint, we can say that we leave other people to steal our information. We basically leave our personal information, our data, so we know that we can be safe there on the internet.
So this means we have a lack of privacy and our personal details and information can be stolen and used for different purposes. So we should be careful with the sensitive content we share online, because that way people wouldn't know who we really are if we don't overshare too much. But we have cases of young children that tend to post without permission or share their image too much, what do you think, Michael, about this case?
I mean, if you're talking about young children using social media.
Yes, young generation that are new to social media. They don't know the risk, they don't know anything about that.
With young children, it's something to be very concerned about. It's something that parents should be concerned about as well, because children really can't control. They can't control what happens to their information, to their photos after it leaves. They don't know that there are safeguards and things that they should have in place. So I think it's something they should learn to be careful about. I think that's an important part of media literacy.
I would also like to add to what Michael said, that not only the parents but also the kids themselves, they don't know what they post, they don't know who is looking at the pictures or the personal stuff they're posting. And they don't know what they're doing with their life, because they're putting their life in danger by being more social with people they don't need to be.
But there are some steps they should take into consideration before surfing the net, which are some policies, cookies, and different browsers, privacy policy that they maybe ignore or don't read that much, and they just keep accepting those labels that appear on their phones. Are you really concerned about the generation if they don't do these things?
Well, I think to some extent we're not able to control the amount of information that companies and social media companies have on us. We're able to limit what we share, we're able to read privacy policies, although I think realistically you can't read all of the privacy policies that you have to.
I think we never do.
It's impossible.
Yes, right? But how do cookies track your privacy?
You can disable cookies in your browser, but it's not just cookies, it's also...
There are a lot of dangers and negative impacts of media.
Yeah, your personal data too. And so I think that some ways you can do to prevent this is by doing, you can add ad blocks, you can add also VPN, which is also good. You can also say that you can clean your history on different sites, websites basically, and also apps. And I think that's a good way to start, by thinking that what you're doing, other people shouldn't know what you're doing, and you shouldn't share too much information about your life, yourself, etc.
Let me say it with other words. What do you do to avoid manipulation online? Because that's really important to know and crucial. Manipulation about everything, the risks of the damages.
When there are websites, they want to steal your information. When you have ads popping up.
Trackers.
Well, I do a lot of what you said, right? You have to be careful about ad blocking,
Yes.
using a VPN. Those are all great steps. Limiting what I share is also a good step. There is a limit to how much I can control, because we also have to balance that out with to participate in the internet in 2024. There are things that almost 2025 now. There are certain losses of privacy that you have to accept. You are being tracked. In spite of your best efforts, if you want to use tools from Google, if you want to use tools from Meta, like Instagram, if you want, there is a certain amount of tracking going on there. And one concern I have with young people and what they share isn't just the things that go on behind the scenes, the tracking. It's also, since young people are sharing so much online, what's going to happen in the future when things that they might look back on as, oh, that's really embarrassing. Why did I share that? And then
yes, because everything is being recorded nowadays, and we see our image. We can see our image everywhere if we overpost too much. But we should be careful with that, and I want to spread this message to the young generation.
I would also like to say that people like to re-upload your pictures, your information. They like to basically mock you and make fun of you sometimes, so we have to be careful by these people, strangers in general. And we have hackers who wanna steal your information, your data.
So protect your privacy, which is really crucial to media literacy itself, to the concept. And of course, to you as an individual, what do you do to avoid the privacy tracking?
To the extent
your personal privacy tracking.
to the extent that I'm able, I try to block third-party cookies. I'll try to use a VPN when I can. I'll try to, in the settings for different services that I use, like Google and Facebook and Instagram and all the services from Meta, you can select like don't personalize ads, don't record activity, and those are some steps you can take as well.
Yes.
Do you ever clear your history when?
Even deleted or archived pictures may reappear again if there are hackers that do that.
On social media?
Yes.
Yeah, on Facebook or Instagram.
Do you think it's a greater risk? Do you think hackers are a greater risk, or do you think the companies themselves are a greater risk?
I think companies, platforms, and all the things on the market are great risk for everybody if we aren't careful with that.
Yeah, companies are bigger because they basically have all our information of all users, and hackers, they tend to choose who they want to hack and whose information they want to get and steal it or basically do whatever they want.
And of course, if you spread too much on the too much information on the internet, it can be used sometimes and to damage your personal space. And the ones you know, your family, your friends, everybody can be attacked just by sharing too much.
We have celebrities that when they go out to eat or like drink something, they get stalkers and they have...
By paparazzi.
Yeah, paparazzi. And that's why they don't ever post where they eat or where they live. Because they know the dangers and they know that they're gonna be stalked and followed by people they don't know. So strangers.
So that celebrities leave active digital footprints, which means that they intentionally post to get likes, shares, and things like that, to be commented by the media, to get famous by posting those things. But we also have passive digital footprints, like you choose to not intentionally share and post too much. And that's about the digital footprints and privacy is about.
I would also like to share that not only you as a teacher, but also us, we don't really post, we don't share our things online because we know the dangers of it.
Even in high school, it was forbidden to post children with faces, because if they don't want their image to be shown that much,
Especially underage, yeah.
yes, especially when you are under 18. So
And activities, and when we had like different activities and things we do to promote things that were supposed to be promoted at school.
and that's why many countries are planning on closing different platforms that may be concerning for their citizens, like TikTok. I've heard in the news that America wants to ban TikTok for. It worked even before, because under the age of 12 you cannot open an account, but does this usually happen like that, or
What do you mean?
sometimes children can open an account and
Sure they do.
yes, of course.
Many ways they can use, and they can always lie about their age. So,
Yes. And get manipulated, offended, and these offensive things, they are forbidden. Even in Albania, they're trying to keep that apart.
And I also want to say that it's kind of scary how our phones knows us, and how it knows personal stuff about us. How when we go online, we see things that were on our minds, or basically it knows more about us than it should. So that's why I think that this is also scary, and because it's just a digital device.
And all these habits we mentioned are what's called media literacy in practice. I mean, not only the basic knowledge, but we have to have an education on that. And I think everybody should, even the young generation, which maybe are more immature than we do. We are quite responsible with the actions we take, and everybody should be like that in order to keep their reputation, their social status, and to be more confident online.
I would also like to say that not only kids, but we have seen many parents who like to post their kids, especially the little ones, the baby ones. And I think that's also very bad, because even if parents know how social media works and how different apps work and how weird people can be, strange especially, they still decide to post their kids, their lives. And I think that's bad, because people not only tend to be good and like the content, but they can be weird with it and use that information for bad things. So it can happen to the kids, especially, also the parents.
And it can happen to anybody.
Things about it.
I personally think it's inappropriate to post. I wouldn't like my image to be shown everywhere. Sometimes they choose to be more private, but some parents, as Maria said, tend to post their children to expose them to the risks, because social media itself contains its own risks.
Do you think there's a difference?
The negative impacts. Sorry?
Do you think there's a difference between like a closed circle social media and open social media? Like some people have, like with Facebook, it only applies to your friends or the people you have become friends with. Instagram, it can be only with those people. people, but you can also create a public Instagram.
Yes, of course.
And do you think that there's a difference between what you can post on the closed circle social media and then public social media?
Yeah, of course there is, because basically, most of the times when you have a close circle of friends, you know that there can be your friends who they know you personally, they know things about you, so you can be more open and more free to share things with them. But if you are public, you go public, everyone can see you, not only your friends but also people who don't know you. So again, you should be aware of sharing your information and post and basically share pictures with others and share your life. I think that other people shouldn't know what you're doing, or they don't have to know about you more than your friends do.
I mean, if you limit your space, then no one has to know about other things going on in your life. I personally keep my social media private because I don't want to be seen by a lot of people, but only people I feel comfortable with. And so on, I wouldn't expose myself that much in social media in order to limit the risks of it and the dangers they may come.
I think that's a really good strategy for...
And that's a good point.
It is a really good strategy.
Yes.
Is to kind of keep everything private, and it keeps you from oversharing outside of the group of people.
Of the close circle, yes. Only the close friends are the ones I follow. But, you know, media has its own risks and disadvantages besides the positive things we mentioned, because we use that for different purposes.
Yeah, and I think that by doing that, apps or media are trying to make us entertain more and spend our time more on media, so they can collect more data about us and cookies, as we said. So I think by finding different ways, they make it more different for us to stay away, so we can give more information, we can share more by liking something. We know that we're gonna get the same thing again or something similar. So that's how it collects information and our thoughts, that sometimes we get weirded out and scared. But that's we can do that, because if you don't want to do that, if we don't want our information shared online, we don't have to be more open, we don't have to be social, we don't have to spend too much time on it.
So basically we need to criticize the information we take, to analyze it, and to communicate it in various media forms, which educate us as a person, is especially needed to prevent all those things that we don't want to happen. Furthermore,
this happened to me just today. So I'm going to court you this weekend.
Yes.
My phone sent me a notification that said, "Oh, you're going to court you this weekend. Would you like me to download the maps?" It has no way of knowing that I'm going to court you other than WhatsApp and Messenger conversations that I've had. So...
Yeah, that's why I think that it's scary, because not only apps on their own, but I think that there's a way that different apps, they combine and they share information, and that's what I found weird, because if, as you said, you were on WhatsApp and you said you maybe told your friend that you're going to Korcha, but let's say Google didn't know that. And that's why I find it weird and scary, because they basically combine, it's like they share information, different apps, and it just blows your phone with Korcha images maybe, or places to go to visit. So yeah, That's weird.
Every message
right now, because then they won't do that.
every message we share, every video we watch, especially videos appear everywhere. And even when we talk, things appear randomly, and I think that's really weird.
Yeah, I feel
for things to show up that randomly.
Now, they haven't now, they have insisted that they don't do that, right? And so there is the chance that a lot of this is coincidence.
Yes.
Right, because it doesn't happen all the time. It only happens sometimes. So so how much of that is coincidence? How much of it is that I was thinking about something, talking about something, and it just so happened to accidentally come up later?
I believe that not everything is coincidence. So I believe that they appear because they know our interests. We show interest in different things, and the things we show interest tend to appear more than those we aren't interested in.
Now it can be also when you go to a new place, as you said, you want to look for hotels, for places to stay, places to visit, and it depends on what you want to do there. So, as I said, I think that different apps, they connect with each other, and when
they cooperate.
When they cooperate. When one app knows about something, it's like they're gonna say it to the other app. So that's how you get different
information about yourself,
about that place, or what you're gonna do there. And I think that also when we talk about something, our phones can hear us, and it might be a coincidence, but I don't think so, because it has happened many times to me when I talk about something, and I feel like now that we're talking about media literacy, it's gonna show up on my phone. So yeah, that's what I think, that it can be a coincidence only. So yeah, we should be more careful. We don't have to share our personal information, our data, where we go, what we do, or where we live, because that would be more dangerous and more risky for people to know where we live and when we go out, what we do. So I think that we should keep it more of a secret. We can tell our friends, but not strangers, or let's say online friends, because you never know their intentions. So I think not only kids, but also the parents I mentioned, the celebrities, they have to be more careful with what they share online. They have to be more careful with what they do and be more private.
Because unmanagement, digital footprints can lead to consequences, and we won't feel good about it because it may be in our danger or in our benefit. But mostly it puts people in danger.
Yeah.
It destroys the image and things like that. So there are some cases where media is good and isn't that dangerous. For example, in workplace like school or work, in education, for educational purposes, beside the negative things we always mention first. And to help children navigate their knowledges.
And I think that this is a topic they should be more talking about in different schools or maybe families too, because you never know what the little kid is going to do, what he's going to share, and you should be more careful. You should teach your kids, especially.
Yes, always advise them.
Yeah.
Constantly. And my parents always checked my phone because they never know the risks of me using it by my own. Especially when you are little, then you start to manage things more carefully and be aware of the risks.
So do you think parents should be checking their children's? Well, should parents be giving children phones? When is the age that a child should have a smartphone?
I got mine at 13.
I got mine when I was 12, but before that I had a laptop, a computer, which I basically played games because that's all I could do. But when I got my phone, first I started watching videos and not using it to chat or text my friends. But the moment I started downloading apps and talking with my friends, I had like a parental control because they wanted to know if I was safe or not. And I wouldn't say that parents controlling your phone or checking your phone is a bad thing because first of all you're young and you're not sure of what you're doing, but also if you're there's an age limit where you want to know what app you use. That's why different apps have like, if you're under this age you can use
below 13 is like an example, but I don't think parents should be over controlling their children because that would harm their child emotionally, then feel comforted by them, so it would even track their privacy some way because children have their own personal life in their phones. If parents attack that, it wouldn't be a good choice to me.
They should be careful who they're talking to, because I think that's also very important, because if you decide to talk to someone you don't know, you get manipulated and you don't know what their intentions are, if they're good or not. And I think that if parents try to control their kids more, there are cases where kids tend to be more sneaky, let's say, and they tend to share more things online because they get kind of scared of their parents, so it's just opposite of what they do. And I think that if you let your kids be more free but also be controlled, that's gonna be a great example and a great case, because you basically tell your kid that you should know your limits and this is all for your own good, so the kid won't be pressured.
To conclude everything, I think media literacy and media mass in general is important to the world nowadays. We cannot live without to navigate our life, but not completely, and we should participate in that.
And I would also like to say that, like, a great message we could give to people, especially kids, is that
young generation
is that we don't need to share that much information, or when we know it's gonna be dangerous for us or risky. And I think that we should use social media or different forms of media
to have an informed global community, because that's what media's positive side is about. And we should never ignore the positive side of things.
And we have to be aware of what we share. So, yeah, we should be more careful. All that.
Thanks. I think you guys make some really great points and bring in a really interesting perspective. Because you're digital natives. You grew up with these.
Yes, we grew up with technology. And it's impossible nowadays to live without the need of technology in informing, in every field of life.
Well, thank you. I think you guys have really shared some great privacy suggestions and great tools and ways for people to minimize their digital footprints, and how to keep especially
the privacy
and children's privacy.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.